I actually think the same applies to me because I have seen like some indie games in LCK, but I wasn't casting them either. So
Yeah.
here we see maybe some level 1 actually even. Oh, not quite. Just the ward being cleared.
Yeah.
And
Flash have
goes
won
to
the
Team
game,
Flash.
right?
Yeah, I mean it's a 0.005k gold lead. It's just yeah, detrimental to win the game basically.
Quick math by Quincy, converting 50 gold into K gold, 0.05. So sadly, it doesn't come up on the zero. Actually, no, is it
The math was wrong,
0.05?
yeah.
0.005. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't want to argue this because doing math on stream is just so dangerous in general. Like, just don't do that, as we have just now found out. Also,
to be honest,
what I like, yeah.
Go on.
I go on, okay. The
Yeah,
Fook
you
one
go
on Sejuani, he has one midi lane to play on. That is actually Yoshino on the Fiora. So for Kiaya, he gotta expect that sometime, at least in the game, that the Sejuani will come say hello to the top lane. And Jay's usually a champion that wants to generate some sort of push, unless he just zones Fiora away from the wave, which is the ideal state for the lane for the Jays. Will expect Fook one to be there at some point, and that just makes it a bit harder for him to play the lane. It's TP flash on both top laners, I gotta say though. So maybe not so much ignite action that we have seen like in recent months in general. Top laners kind of tend to go back towards the traditional summoner spell, so to say.
I do want to draw a brief comparison to what we saw actually between Wales and Box Esports, because we saw Sejuani against Wukong, and back then it was Sejuani being piloted by Box Esports and the Wukong by Wales. And the thing that really stood out to me was just how much more presence the Sejuani had in terms of gank pressure, as Yoshino going all crazy over Kiaya. Does he go for the kill? Doesn't want to tower dive and will just leave Kiaya on about 100 health.
And that's Yoshino being a magician, in my opinion, because he somehow hit level 2 before the Jace, when Jace is the range champion against the melee. Of course, I mean, Fiora always has like some sort of counterplay with the lunge to really just get close to the Jace, but this shouldn't happen, in my opinion. Yoshino really showing how he can pressure this matchup very early on, and something that I didn't quite expect. As Kiaya is also like one of the more proficient top laners in the VCS. We mentioned it earlier in the draft, and I would expect him to have more control over the wave there, but Yoshino showing he still got it.
Maybe it was all down to that ward experience, level 1 in the bottom lane push. Maybe actually, it was Yoshino who got the ward.
Yeah, if you got the water, then you just need 6 creeps to hit level 2, otherwise you would need 7. And that can actually make a huge difference in the top lane, especially. I mean, it's my home lane, I can tell some stories about it. It's just what difference.
You can tell many stories about the top lane, Quincy.
Yeah, if I lose top lane, it's just because enemy hit level 2 over ward earlier. I mean, it's just how it works.
Well, Pudding going very aggressive onto Starlin Zin takes a lot of damage in return, and he's within kill range now. Fook one is hovering around this bottom side, just going to look to pick up this first Scuttle Crab as in the top lane. You can just see on the minimap Yoshino getting this wave shoved under Kiaya's tower, and just getting a nice little ward down for some vision if Levi does look for a gank.
And the Lucian army lane kind of struggling in the first few levels, which is something that is not that unusual despite maybe sounding like it, because Lucian army has kind of changed over the years, because by now it's being played for almost 2 years. With the Electrocute no longer applying from Nami's ebb and flow, she usually just goes airy right now. Lucian going first strike is the usual choice by now, so the priorities kind of shifted. It's scaling better than it used to be in the past, but the first few levels are surprisingly rough for the Lucian army lane, despite being known initially as a body lane.
First blood still on the cards, and Kiaya has just reset, teleported into lane. Yoshino does have flash. He will have the riposte available as well, and here comes Levi. Yoshino on the run has been slowed. Now Levi going on to Yoshino. Yoshino forced to flash away. Can he riposte to get out of this? Yes, he can, and denies the damage from the shock blast.
And that's actually huge, because Yoshino used his flash, but also Levi used his. So just the trade in summoner spells, he is losing a few CS off this wave, I would believe, as he has to TP upwards as well. But not going down for first blood is a very huge thing for him, as he can still collect a lot of those XP numbers and doesn't funnel any additional gold into GAM. So first gank attempt, kind of a miss from Levi, I would almost say, but trading flashes, getting the CP as well is also okay-ish for him, I gotta say. But I think Levi wanted more for sure.
I'm also looking towards Team Flash's mid laner, Yane, because on this Annie, once Annie hits level 6, that is a lot of kill pressure that's available, especially if they can rotate to either of the side lanes and look for a potential kill, either onto Kiaya's Jace or this Lucian Nami in the bottom lane.
As we see now, I actually want to see the scoreboard as I see the CS numbers back again. Yeah, Lucian and Nami being down a few of those, as we haven't seen any action from Fuk1, as you just now stated. I want to see him pull some attention to the top lane I mentioned earlier, as he has such a good innate synergy with the Permafrost stepping up with the melee champions, but he is currently looking towards this bot lane river again, where he cleared the scuttle earlier, and maybe he can go for some bot lane action as they hit level 6, or he hits level 6 himself, as he's right now on the level 5 marking. Level 6 would be a very huge power spike for him, as the Glacial Prison is such a key ability in those little skirmishes, 2v2, 3v3, along those lines. But he's soloing the Drake, sneaking it away from GAM, and I'm not quite sure if he can make it in time before Levi shows up. This is a risky call for him, in my opinion.
Levi is taking the Gromp and then will presumably make his way down into the river. The Drake is down to 2,000 health, and Fuk1 does not have the upgraded smite just yet. Team Flash trying to get priority in the bottom lane to stop Xin and Star making their way up. Here comes Levi, not able to steal it, but Fuk1 is very low. The shockwave will not land. Flashed away by the Sejuani as Yane is making his way over. Fuk1 still on the retreat. Levi just needs a couple more autos. Permafrost comes in. There's Tibbers, and it is first blood for Yane. Team Flash to the rescue.
And I really want to congratulate Sora too on the side of Team Flash. Sora is his name, I guess, because his shielding on the Lulu was so clutch to prevent First Blood from falling down. Fuk1 dropped so low, got this Drake kind of lucky. I don't want to congratulate for that play, I gotta say.
As we have more action in the bottom lane, but we're looking towards the mid lane as duking it out. And as expected in the bottom lane, there was a kill, but somehow it wasn't Stalin Xin who managed to find the kill. It was actually Puddin and Sora. So the Lucian will fall, and it's 2 kills to Flash as Flash are off away on a fantastic start.
Yeah, I gotta say, almost a dream start. I don't want to congratulate them for Dragon Flip. They kind of won there, but Fuk1 on his own regard manages to escape with the help from Sora. Here, see, Flash Lulu, the clutch shield comes out, Glitterlands, the Tippers also in his face, and Levi dies for first blood. Such a cool play by Team Flash overall thing. And here we see the Arc of Prison was landing by the side of Xin, but yeah, Zeri Lulu can still win those trades in the early game. Your style dashes in forwardly, he can't dash out anymore, and Zeri just, yeah, hits every auto attack. Is something I would usually sarcastically say, but Zeri actually has to hit her auto attacks. She has to aim them. Yes. She's different, and yeah, that's 2 kills.
She requires skill.
The Drake as well, yeah, and that's a 1k gold lead for the Flash early on. And gotta say, the first few minutes, I'm positively surprised by this team.
A very, very good return to Team Flash into the VCS so far. And you can't blame Stalin Xin for going for that play, because both Puddin and Sora had actually used their flashes to get the kill onto Levi, who was trying to get the kill onto Fuk1. A fantastic start for Team Flash. They find themselves with a 1k goal lead. They're now looking for the Rift Herald. Sora actually rotating over to the top side of the map. This is going to allow Stalin Xin to trade on to Pudding under tower, but seemingly Pudding coming out of the trade on top.
Yeah, Pudding seems kind of fine to be 1v2 in the bot lane right now, and now we have, which is kind of surprising to me, Lulu support roaming around, but yeah, just gives some extra map pressure to this top side of the map, securing them the Rift Herald, and that's something that they can of course now use to propel or stabilize the Fiora Jace matchup, which has also been quite a fight right now, but this just to show that Fuk is getting engaged.
Knocked up by the Wukong ultimate, flash over the wall by Levi, can't get to the other side of the blast cone in time. And Levi will not risk diving under tower. Now Yoshino is on the run. Jane is here as well. Tib has dropped down. And the Addy burst once again comes in clutch for Team Flash. 3 kills to 0.
And Levi just doesn't find any opening in the early game, right? His first flash usage was to just get Yoshino's flash. Then later on, he greeded a bit to just overchase onto Fuk1, who didn't even end up falling down. And just right now again, Jane catches him on the roam with the Timbers coming out. And that's 3-0 for the Flash. Botlane also still winning. And this seems like a very good game for them. And I don't know how GAM can come back here right now.
Correct me here, Quincy, but I always thought the Lucian Nami was meant to win this lane matchup.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, Lucian Nami really changed. Like, they don't win the first 3 levels anymore. They are kind of a scaling lane mode, to say. And their power spike is when the Lucian hits a Gale Force and Nami hits Imperial Mandate, so you then basically have a 2-item AD carry, which is kind of a strong mid-game carry in general. Just, yeah, fighting against 1.5-item ADC on the enemy team, and then just bootlegging them being a ranged mobile assassin, so to say. And then later on, he would still fall off at some point, but usually at the 3-4-item power spike, he's still a very strong ADC. But Zeri Lulu in the first 3 levels definitely winning this one, as we have just now seen a replay of how they really caught out Levi. And overall, Team Flash firmly in control of this game. 2k gold lead at 10-minute mark. And yeah, the Jace, supposedly also one of those mid-game power spikers, can't really do anything right now.
And I would just like to say, as a caster, I'm contractually obliged to be neutral, which means, in other words, I have to support the underdog, which is Team Flash. So I'm very excited for Team Flash, but I don't want to put a dampener on the party for Team Flash fans, because we did see something similar in the previous game today. Box Esports had a lead, but they weren't really able to convert it in the mid-game. We saw the fact that Wales were able to utilize mid-game and late-game macro really effectively and claw their way back in. And when you look towards GAM, you mentioned the fact that Jay's power spikes in the mid-game. This Orianna as well is going to be so strong in the latter portions of this game.
Yeah, what they really need to do, in my opinion, is get a good Drake fight around. With the setup of the Wukong Orianna still being good, right? You can just get in with the Invisible Monkey and just put the Orianna ball onto him and just shockwave the backline. If you kill the Zeri pretty instantly, you can still win those team fights. You just need to be very careful. At the Annie and the current patch is super strong. Also just now bought her Wall of Ages a minute ago, so that's already started to stack up. And Jane is having a fantastic game so far, also being ahead in CS by a few more. And here, another catch, maybe?
Oh, this is just brutal for Carty. He's left with nowhere to go. Flashes away, then sees Fook1 and Pudding. And it's just an easy kill for Team Flash. 4 kills to 0, and now they're just going to crash onto this mid lane outer tower. Rift Herald as well. It might very well be first tower of the game. Pre-12 minutes.
I think it's even more than that. This Rift Herald charge alone won't just kill the turret, but they can just keep going. The mid laner is down, by the way, so bot lane also still being up in the side lane. The Rift Herald charge won't quite last to get a charge on the second turret, which is something that could have maybe been possible there, but they tried their best and it didn't work out. But this just now means Carty got a few seconds to respawn, uses TP to be back on the map, so for now at least means no Drake for the side of Team Flash, which is kind of sad.
Sad times for Team Flash. Although, how sad can you be when you've got a 3k goal lead against the current champions 12 minutes into the game? You have first tower, you haven't died yet. GAM, though, are going to look to sneak away one Drake of their own.
But I'm not sure if they can actually do that. I think they can. I mean, it's just now on vision, but Fook1 will be too late for that, which is kind of sad to see for the side Team Flash. I think they could have just not really guided the Rift Herald push as much. They kind of made the deliberate choice to get this mid lane T1 to it and then forfeit the Drake. Otherwise, they could have just taken the Drake and just be fine with some platings. And I think both choices are fine to make, but I would have preferred the Drake in my opinion. And they just not dive onto the GAM members.
Shockwave used defensively just to pull Jane away from the fight so that fourth stack, that stun Annie spell, couldn't be used. GAM, though, are very clearly on the ropes in this game. Not the start they would have wanted to their title defense, but exactly what Team Flash and most specifically Yoshino would have wanted for his return to the VCS split.
Yeah, you gotta take this into the look at the bigger picture, right? It's the defending champion against a team that just got promoted as for formalities, basically. So they couldn't even be bigger underdogs, and they are currently smashing GAM and maybe even pulling off this dive. The wave is now coming in.
Puddin is sidestepping everything, and now Fook1 comes in from the side. Star has already fallen. The shield is massive. Puddin's going to take another tower shot. Somehow survives. Picks up a double kill as well. Flash has 6 kills to 0. What on earth is 2023?
And what is GAM doing? Like, this dive was coming from a mile away, and they just decided to stick around, maybe trying to outplay it under the turret, but they just couldn't do it. And Flash just playing it cleanly on their side. Sejuani diving in with the Glacial Prism, with the Arctic Assault really hitting, as we see it again in the replay. Lightning Crash very early on by the side of Puddin as the wave gets pulled in quite slowly. Now a wave to really disengage, but it doesn't really do much. Can easily be sidestepped. Lightning Crash hits on side of Style. Flash engage comes out from side of Fook1, and they can't kill out Din for now, but even the cycle from Lever doesn't prevent that. Puddin can just keep hitting here, and it's 2 kills for the side of Team Flash. The wave gets into the turret, so that's also more XP missed for the side of them, and Flash is firmly in control. Almost 5,000 gold ahead by now.
Such an impressive performance by Team Flash. A very impressive performance, actually, most specifically, I think, by Puddin and Sora. To be honest, every single member of Team Flash has been playing phenomenally well. Now they're looking for another Rift Herald as we get a bit of a screen freeze. So apologies for that. Do we want to predict what's going to happen from here, Chrissy?
Yeah, we can. I think what's going to happen is that Team Flash is going to take this Rift Herald. Yeah, the pause maybe it's a pause. I mean that's something that we haven't seen this day so far, but we have seen quite a few of those yesterday. I remember being scheduled to cast, and then the series just didn't happen at all, and still hasn't happened to this minute, I gotta say. But I mean, it's a new company. I mean, that's both a positive and a negative thing, and maybe in the long run that's something that is a benefit for us. We just gotta wait and see. I think one pause per day is something that we can live with, as
Yeah.
long as it isn't taking too long.
Yeah, it depends on the length of the pause, right? You'd rather have 2 short pauses than 1 long pause, and but yeah, I think that Rift Herald will probably get secured. Team Flash, though, you can't not talk about Team Flash after these first 15, 16 minutes. They've been perfect. Literally, you can't fault them one bit. Yes, I think Fuquan got a little bit lucky at the start when he tried to sneak that Drake that he didn't die, and then maybe the Team Flash got a little bit lucky with the coin flip. But aside from that, you can't fault them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, the coin flip maybe was the lucky part. I think the surviving part was kind of like just them playing well. I gotta say, like Sora just being there, ready, flash over the wall just to poke a little shield is something that he deserves our credit for that one. And in general, like my expectation was that yeah, Team Flash has a nice draft. I like what they are going with, but I would expect GAM to just be maybe just hand stiff them all over the place, except for maybe top lane because Yoshino is just one of the more stellar known players. I gotta say, but this just has not happened so far. Like Flash from draft to the early game, a few hiccups have been there, but overall a very strong game from them. I kind of doubt that they should have lost his second Drake, but that's something that was also a deliberate choice by them, and maybe they just faded the gold more. I mean, we gotta say, early Drakes, they have been buffed last summer because they have been so weak on their own, and they have basically just been like a one stack towards the soul. Could lead there a little bit more than that, but overall, individual Drakes are not like your best bet, and with that extra gold, it can be enough to just really snowball the game and go for maybe even an early Baron or something like this really later on.
And I was just checking, and Your Way has semi-confirmed, but his semi-confirmation has jogged my memory. Pudding was at the Cerberus Academy and actually played a couple of games last year, if I recall correctly, over Artemis. And, well, we all know where we view Artemis as an ADC in the league. One of the best, if not the best, I think, alongside Shogun. And Pudding playing really, really well so far.
Yeah, I mean, you can to some extent say Zeri is just broken, and I think she is. Don't get me wrong,
No.
but he also is playing quite
Yeah.
good. I mean, that's just something that we can't really scratch off for now. And overall, I think Team Flash really surprising us on a good note. And for Gamma, I gotta say, like I also to some extent can't even fault the plays that went like the wrong way. Like for example, the first play from Levi, just him using his flash. And to me, Yoshino looked that there, but his riposte and his just overall timing in the defense was just so good that maybe they kind of just didn't expect him to really like make every single button press perfectly, but he kind of did. So that's unlucky, I gotta say. And also like when he overreached to get this one kill into Fook one, yeah. Who expects Luna to be there this second and yeah, just be ready to shield it, and it just being enough also. It was super, super close.
And to quote a very, very wise man, Levi on Wukong all day long, just trying to cover the fact that his hands aren't strong. Thank you very much, Your Way, for those, that lyrical masterpiece. Back on,
Rap
what was
God.
that? Yes, Rap God. That's, yeah. I think, who was Your Way doing for that? Was he doing Saigon Buffaloes? I think he was doing Saigon Buffalo. Yeah, he was on Saigon
He
Buffaloes.
confirmed it himself, yeah.
Also, we haven't decided. Are we actually going with Phuc One or Phuc Mon? Because one in Vietnamese is Mon, apparently. So
I think I should go Fook 1 because I will definitely forget what the Vietnamese version is. And I think with DR1, we also did DR1, and there are like many other numbers, I think, in other names. And I think to be consistent, we should use the numbers, even if we
the thing
technically
is
know more.
with
Like we also had Huber, and we are kind of hypocrites, right? Because we said Huber and not Hue Free.
Yeah. So who knows what's going on? So apparently this pause is going to be lasting for a little bit longer than we expected, sadly, Quincy. So that means, you know what? I think before we head to a break, I remember you mentioning some stories about the top lane that you have in mind. Have you been playing a lot of solo queue? Have you been grinding a lot of solo queue this season?
No. I have
Good.
not. I've put up lolclips and I've seen where's Yorick, where's Mundo, and I need to scroll like all the way to the bottom. And look like, oh nice, Yorick is like number 80 top laners out of 88 track top laners. Guess I don't play. I might as well play Pokemon, right?
I've not played Pokemon in a very, very long time. I played Fire Red a few years back, and I just got really bored of it. And I was just like, every Pokemon game's going to be the exact same thing, right? Just different Pokemon. And I was just thinking, I can't be bothered to play it.
Okay, producer told us to
I've
shut
angered many people, so
the
that might be the side to get into a technical pause so I can get berated by Quincy and your way off stream. I'll see you guys in a short bit. It would seem that the solution was to say that the pause was over. And then we get into game and we have another pause.
It just
Quincy!
it could be worse. Like I was about to make like some joke about like we never left or something, but just now
Yeah.
as we get back in, they just debate us and put us back into the pause. It's absolutely astronomically unpleasing for us. But I gotta say, like it's a new company. I gotta say, like have some patience, give them a day or two, or maybe even 3 weeks, and then
Three
they
weeks,
figure the
3
stuff
years.
out.
I think, Quincy, we should try the magic again. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw back to the break screen. And as soon as we do, the game's going to start again. And then we're going to jump back into game. Trust me on this one. It's going to happen. So, your way, if you could. Howdy, everyone. We're back into game, and what's this? GAM have just got a kill. Levi... Wait, hang on. Levi is dead, but Jane is dead as well. Pudding has killed a Lulu. Things have happened, Quincy, but one thing is for certain, Flash is still winning this game.
I watched Jane die. Just kidding, I actually didn't because it was off screen for us. But either way, GAM got a kill, but only one, and they traded multiple ones on the other side, for the side of Team Flash, but they also took a turret. So at the end of the day, with all the chaos really unfolding, I think it's kind of beneficial to GAM because that chaos just kind of maybe be that one wrench they need to throw into the gears of Team Flash, who otherwise had firm control of the game. And now, with GAM kind of scaling next to Team Flash, it's not looking as bad as it has looked beforehand. I talked about it before, right? The Wukong Oriana combination might be something that can still win them the game at any point of the time.
So hopefully we can get a replay to see what exactly happened with things in hovering around this mid lane as Jane has Sora alongside, and we have seen, I believe, 2 dragons taken so far. I want to say 1 for each team as Yoshino will spot out Zin, and what is a little fishy going to do against a very angry French blade woman? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I just said Flash Yoshino. Flashbacks coming out for me. We just now see him on VO getting his first kill. He's already on the Divine Sunra power spike, so he's already starting to really get to be an actual champion in this game. But as I say that, he already had like good wave control in the first few levels as he was bullying Kiaya very early on, and he just keeps doing it. But GAM doesn't really find any moment to breathe in this game.
We said we were excited to see Yoshino's Fiora, and another Rift Herald has been taken. We didn't catch that happening, and again, it is dropped in this mid lane. It's going to take the mid lane in a tower very low and allow Team Flash some tempo to make their way down into the river to pick up their second Drake of the game.
Yes, they do firmly now, with this mountain break coming up for them, and that's just make them even tankier. Like the Sejuani already with this Vormax wash coming out, it's kind of the thing like which is now done on Sejuani, but also very much criticized as it is very much delaying the mythic with going Vormax into Sunfire. But in this case, it makes sense, right? You could just skirmish around a little bit, get chunked very, very low, but as long as you don't die and just get to be absent from the fights for like 20 seconds, you're back to full HP again. It's very, very easy to really be relevant as a champion like Sejuani with this. And for the side of Team Flash, they still keep their gold lead, they get the next dragon. Sadly, they lost the dragon number 2, which I mentioned earlier, to GAM, and they got kind of lucky in getting the first one, but with this, they just now can keep really propelling the lead and they get this dragon. Also, look at this very item build, right? Double lifesteal coming out and the Lulu on top of her. That's maybe not very easy to kill.
It might be a little bit less damage for Pudding, but it's going to be a lot harder to kill him when Pudding is sustaining that much in a team fight. Also, Jane now with the 2 items, Rod of the Ages and the Zhonya's Hourglass completed. So much burst is available from this Annie, and we mentioned it in picks and bans, we mentioned it in the drafting phase. Again, we'll mention it now. If they can get on top of Illusion, as Jane may be getting caught out on this Annie, trying to run Tibbers is dropped down. Flash not available, goes golden, but there are still 3 members of GAM on top, and it will be an easy kill for, I believe that was Levi who picked up the spoils of war.
I think it was Levi as well. Other than that, it's also Kiaya getting 1 kill, but it will be traded for a third in the mid lane.
Levi killed Jane last time when it was that 1-for-1.
Actually, yes, yeah. But GAM keeps pushing, and so does Team Flash. But now do they? Actually, that's a huge win for GAM, I would say, as GAM is really getting more out of this push. They got this 1 kill on top of it, and they really chunked down this inhibitor turret, which is something that Team Flash doesn't really have a proper answer right now. And they are the ones with the split pusher playing from ahead, so they could have been more from them. Maybe this is more.
The turn on to Kiaya forces the Jace to burn his flash to be able to escape out to safety, and Fukmon just having to use the ultimate, as did Yoshino.
Yeah, so this ends up just being a flash down for the side of Kiaya. Expanded has been on the side of Team Flash that they used both ultimates. At the end of the day, fine trade for them, of course, but Kiaya gets to save this tier 2 turret there, so at the end of the day, not really much gold gained by the side of Team Flash, and they have looked a little bit more shaky after this pause, I would say, as first of all Jane dying, then again dying here on the side lane, and the trade still being not favorable for them, despite them being so firmly in control of the game overall, with the gold coming on, with Yoshino being ahead. Kiaya right now, GAM seems to at least bite back a little bit, and as they get to scale next to Team Flash, with their huge deficit they had beforehand, it's looking more and more winnable for them.
And Baron is up. Let's not forget, Puddin does a lot of damage, is very strong on this series, so Team Flash could have a think about trying to sneak this Baron away. Alternatively, they could wait 3 minutes for the Drake to spawn and pick up what would be, I believe, their third Drake of the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Would have been the third break for the side of Team Flash at least, and they right now are just starting to get this vision control on the Baron. There's still one ward on the side of GAM, however, that they haven't really swapped out, so GAM is knowledge of the fact that Team Flash has started this one off, and I'm not quite sure if Team Flash is aware of them having those knowledge, so they can just now start this Baron. They think they're very, very sneaky, but they actually kind of aren't.
I wonder if Team Flash know that there could be a ward. They're going to put a control ward outside of the pit. Sora is hovering around. Aqua Prism very nicely sidestepped by Sora, and Gamma struggling to get near the pit. Shurelius has it been
Levi is stunned.
Levi over the wall. It's stolen by the Oriana. GAM are able to secure the Baron courtesy of Kati, and now GAM are running for their lives with a Baron buff on 4 members of the team. Levi the only member to die.
Yeah, that's like one thing. I did not expect the Wukong Oriana ultimate to be useful in this specific scenario, but also like maybe to combine with Smite to just burst the Baron, like why not? Just might as well use it for that. And that was Flash not really properly sweeping away the Baron area. I think in some instances you just miss out this one ward on the edge, and that might just be something that could have happened here, as Levi gets stunned by the Glacial Prism, as we will see in this replay right now. And they kind of are aware that GAM is ready, I think, for this. But Levi still gets in. The damage, you can't really damage stop at 1.6k, that's just way too dangerous. Levi gets in, there's a smite, but there's also the shockwave. The shockwave ends up last hitting the Baron. And I'm not sure if Fuquan himself even got to smite the Baron at all there. Either way than that, it was way too risky to flip this Baron against GAM. And now GAM, only 2k gold down. It has been 5k before, I just gotta say. And it just means less and less. And with the Baron on their side, Drake coming up in less than a minute, which will be at the time where they still have Baron, GAM is back into the game.
This is most likely GAM's way back into the game. As you were mentioning, with this Baron buff, they can start to get some waves to push in, maybe try to pick up their second Drake of the game and tie up the overall Drakes. And I was kind of trying to compare this game to what we saw earlier between Box Esports and Wales in the sense that Box got the early advantage in game 1, but just made a few slip-ups in the mid and late parts of the game, and maybe we're seeing something similar for Flash here.
Yeah, maybe we do that, as this Drake will be spawning in a very few seconds. And Levi is not around for it. I'm not quite sure what's GAM's approach to this, as right now mid priority is getting established, or not quite established by style. And I don't know why GAM is not really looking to contest this, and they just now on their side look to really crack the base open, knowing or maybe anticipating that Flash is going to this Drake and just trying to fight over it. Flash, thank you very much, takes the Drake, but they lose. I would usually say so much on the other side, but if it's just an inhibitor to it, I think this is also a mistake from GAM.
So GAM will effectively allow Flash to take themselves to Soul Point. That would be Mountain Soul as well, which will be very nice for Fuquan in particular. Teleport now into the mid lane as Puddin and Fuquan are being zoned away. And this will be a mid lane outer tower going the way of GAM. So consistently GAM are finding towers, finding these little sources of gold, even if they are giving away, in this case, a Mountain Drake.
They certainly are, and I think they could have gotten this either way. They didn't need to give away this Mountain Drake, in my opinion. This is just Soul Point for the side of Team Flash. One bad smite, one bad Drake situation, and it's just Soul for Flash. And GAM kind of got gifted the game back into their favor to some extent, with this Baron rush being done by the side of Team Flash, and they're kind of ready to just return the favor to Flash, is what I was expecting from that one. And they, of course, still in their own regards, got an inhibitor turret, got a mid lane outside turret, which is like the most important tower considering the control of the map. But here Team Flash looking for a dive. This is massive.
Puddin over the wall, uses the ultimate. However, Tidal Wave does so much to buy GAM a time to be able to turn this fight around. It's a 1-for-1 with both junglers dying. Shockwave chips putting down a little bit lower, and I think the tower actually still stands.
The tower still stands. Levi is getting taken down, but as is Fuquan. 1-for-1 is something that both teams can kind of live with, I gotta say. But for the side of Team GAM, I think it's a bit better. They are still behind, trailing in gold. And this Fiora kind of doesn't really work down in the 5v5 group. We see it here again. Yoshino is very, very strong in this game, but he can't really do much in this situation. Here the dive is kind of awkwardly played. Tidal Wave to disengage it by a little bit of more time as well. It's a Cyclone coming out from Levi. He sacrificed himself so that Fuquan, who also kind of overdove this, gets taken down. So it's a 1-for-1 with the turret still standing. And Team Flash certainly expected more coming out of this.
And I think the big issue is that when Pudding goes over the wall, he gets knocked up by the Cyclone, then knocked up by the Tidal Wave, and that's already pretty much 2 seconds where Pudding can't do any damage. And if the Zeri's more relevant in the fight, it probably is a lot more devastating for the side of GAM.
Certainly is, and also with this double lifesteal item build, it's kind of getting criticized within the VCS community, I gotta say. And if he wouldn't go this item build, would just go for something more aggressive. But the Sheepo is the usual option, I would say, but the BT maybe a little bit too much on the lifesteal side. He could just straight up deal more damage and also heal more with the lifesteal off of this more damage, and maybe just have more on the overworld page there. But with this, it's kind of struggling, especially if he gets CC'd multiple seconds. I mean, you don't deal damage in this case anyway, but of course, this dive was something that Team Flash played a little bit sloppily. But with this, the game kind of calmed down a little bit, right? It's 1k between those two teams at 27 minutes, and with that early game from Team Flash, I feel like they failed to reward themselves a lot.
However, Pudding now does have that Infinity Edge, is a lot stronger on this Zeri, and I think we're getting to the point where Pudding is going to outscale Style just because, you know, range difference and just how hard this series is going to start hitting.
Yeah, and also look at Styles' item build, right? It's like a garage sale coming out of him. It's like the serrated Dirk and the Zeal, and now he's trying to finish with Rapid Fire Cannon, which of course would be a little bit of a power spike, but is Rapid Fire Cannon really a power spike? I think it kind of isn't. And him being forced or feeling forced to build this Rapid Fire Cannon just tells you a lot about how this range difference is really applying in this game, and just building an item that's not really that good in the DPS department. But here we see the next engage coming out.
Glacial Prison lands. Fuquan, though, turns his attention towards Levi, hops over the wall and out to safety, and Team Flash will just continue to get priority in the mid lane and now try to transition that into priority in the river for yet another Baron dance.
Yeah, the Baron just now being spawned, but them being down the Glacial Prison means that it's not that easy to play for them, I gotta say. Like, the division setup is not that terrible, I guess, but that ultimate is just so clutch. You need to have it ready for a potential fight, and with GAM having their abilities ready, it's not something that they can just easily start. Especially all that Jace poke now would be very relevant. If you get shredded down by the Baron, you would lose resistances as you really tank it down. And right now they're just going for a 4-1 setup with Yoshin on the side lane, pressuring the other side of the map. His DP would be ready for an emergency case, and now Team Flash's 4-man squad kind of needs to hold off and just now, yeah, as Yoshino was taking down this tier 2 turret in the bot lane, they would, yeah, just need to ensure that GAM is not just starting out the Baron on their side, but with GAM being in the 5v4 on this side of the map, they can easily secure more vision.
In goes Levi, finds an engager onto Jane, just gets knocked up, knocked around. Wild Growth will keep him alive, but Sora instead gets focused down and taken down. 1 kill going the way of GAM. Team Flash now without their support. Fuquan getting caught out. Aqua Prison won't land onto anyone. Culling chips the Jane down even further. Yoshino full of health. Pudding looking for a potential way to play this. Style maybe getting a bit too angsty. Stopwatch used by Jane. Now the Mountain Drake is up. This is sole point for the side of Team Flash, but Fuquan is so low. Jane will be forced to reset, has a teleport to get back into the fight. Still, 5 members of GAM are making their way into the river strong, and Sora is not up on the map. Teleport now coming through from Jane into the bottom lane to join into the play. Yoshino uses the riposte. Can Fuquan get into the Drake pit? Turns towards the Levi. Yoshino on the side of the fight. Nobody died just yet. The Drake secured by Levi. Levi will now fall. Fuquan gets run down and taken down. Pudding now being forced away. Shock blast sidestep by the Team Flash ADC. Double kill for Kiaya, and GAM will win the fight, and GAM will get the Drake. Sora showing up, flashing forward, trying to get the kill on his Style, but just flashes into his own demise.
Oh, come on, so I mean, I respect you for trying, but this ultimately wasn't really it. GAM win the flip, but they also win the fight. At the end of the day, I think it's way too dangerous to even make Fuquan come into the pit, especially if you already get a pick before and you already are the stronger 5v5 composition right now. But with this, GAM just now get their second Drake of the game, denies a soul for the side of Team Flash, and with this, also equalize the gold lead, and we just now see how these fights will play out. The Fiora is kind of awkward in these 5v5 situations. You can just walk in and do a little bit of chip damage, basically, and that's all she really provides. SRJ is just brutalizing the backline with the empowered shock blast, with the dive in with the hammer shock coming out, and just like this, GAM looking to be the favorite in this game yet again, which is kind of sad because Team Flash had such a good draft, such a good start to the game, just ultimately failed to clutch it out.
And this all just comes down to how well GAM team fight this. At the end of the day, they have a 5v4 advantage for this fight.
Yeah, they do. 5v4 it is. Fuquan gets into the pit, but at the end of the day, it's just a very messy fight. Fuquan also just back out of the pit. I think his mindset was like, I don't get this Drake anyway, or it's just not reliable to really try to go for the smite flip, and we just try to win the fight here. Even if GAM gets the Drake, not the end of the day for them, which is kind of true, but they, at the end of the day, happen to lose both as the next fight was over.
The Cyclone tidal wave will find two members. Yoshino on the backline trying to find a kill on to Kiaya, but Yoshino will fall. Sin picks up the kill, but look at the pudding. He's getting 2 kills, and now this is a 3v4. Pardon me, a 3v3. Both Kati and Style have fallen. Pudding jumping forward. A flash used by Kiai to get out to safety. Pudding, though, hit by the Aqua Prison, and Kiai will snipe him down. Now it's a 2v2. Jane is on the run. Shock blast. Snipe down. Double kill. Aqua Prison will find the knock up onto Sora, and Sora is on the run, but Kiaya is hunting down the Lulu. Triple kill for Kiaya, and GAM win the fight 5-3.
And the redemption of Thin, I gotta say, just keeps hitting those Aqua Prisons. The last one especially really clutch to really get both Pudding and Sora on the one after that one as well. As Kiaya also just being very, very aim ready to fire the shock bursts off of his Jace, as we here see the fight roll out yet again. It was started with Levi really getting this backline access, followed by the tidal wave. But this one actually looking good for Team Flash, as Pudding gets to start off his lightning crash and keeps chasing the first 2 members down. I think it was Kati and another member of the side from GAM, but either way, now Pudding gets a bit too over-aggressive. Spark surges over the wall, falls the flash from Kiaya. Levi is enough of a distraction to make Zen land this 2-man Aqua Prism, which is very, very clutch from him as well. And here we see Kiaya just, being a good sniper. First he kills off Zen, and then he just is allowed to kill off Zoa as well.
Yeah, the flash Aqua Prison at the end from Zin just to allow the cleanup. Baron being secured by the side of GAM. Is there anything that Team Flash can do at the end of this fight? Flank coming through from Yoshino. Glacial Prison will land. Out comes the tidal wave. GAM are going so low, but the Cyclone is big. In comes Yoshino from the side, but he's not going to be able to find the kill onto Levi because he goes golden. Sora and Jane doing work, but there are still 4 members of GAM who are strong, and Jane is being forced away from the fight. Yoshino is low, forced to reset. Jane will die, and GAM get the Baron. GAM win yet another fight.
They win this fight very, very convincingly. 3-for-1 on this one. They just finished the Baron. Flash kind of panicking, tries to go for the fight on the way out as GAM is taking some damage from the Baron, but not enough. GAM is just strong enough to really deathball them down. Style doesn't die, and as long as Style gets to hit and Pudding doesn't, it's an easy fight for them in the late game. They will secure the win right here. 2 Nexus turrets already down. The Baron pushes there, and GAM wins game 1.
It was a solid start to the game for the side of Team Flash, but it's a solid start to the series for GAM, taking the lead against Team Flash.